Hi, I'm Leon Poindexter, and here we are at the Gloucester Marine Railways. Today is launch day for Eleanor, and we're going to be putting her back in the water very shortly here. As we showed in previous episodes, the Eleanor is on a marine railway. The chain was going to pay out, and she's going to roll back into the slip here. We're going to float her off, take her around the corner of the dock, and I'm going to tie her up on the other side of the dock. And then next week we'll load it, and we'll be off to Boston. Well, now since the staging is down and before she goes in the water, this would be a good time to take a look at her all over. We can really get some close-up on the details that have gone into making her such a good-looking vessel. Here on the stern of the Eleanor, we have the stern gallery, and around the corner is the quarter gallery. The colors are all traditional colors. This has been well researched. Color schemes is very typical of vessels of that day.
Once we get her off the cradle, where there's absolutely no wind right now, it was just a matter of letting her out far enough, and you hold the stern spring line and hold the bow spring, and she just kind of pivots on the end of the wharf. And with the spring lines to pull ahead and other ones pulling aft, it's just a matter of having the right people let go and have the right people pull, and she just moved across the end of all the wharfs, got to where we got her tied up now, on the corner. A lot of times, like the tide's coming in, and we're going with the tide, so that helps a whole lot too. I always try to have the wind and the tide help us.
Well, we just had a very successful launch of the Eleanor. The shipyard takes over at that point and handles the launch, and we've moved over to the pier. We'll be here for a few days before we go to Boston, and as you can see, she's sitting a little high on her lines. We already have in the corner of the yard 8 tons of granite ballast in the form of stone that's going to go into her hold to bring her down more on her lines. Then after that, we'll start loading the masts and the other gear that we need to take to Boston. Well, just before the launch, we were at the stern of the Eleanor, and we talked about the quarter galleries and the stern galleries. Now, as you can see, we're standing at the bow, and what we see behind us is the headrails. Now, the headrails haven't been painted yet. We fitted the figurehead, and in Boston, the finished figurehead will be delivered and installed at the museum. Well, that's about all the time we have for this episode. We've had a big day in launching the Eleanor. Next week, we'll take her to Boston, so check back with us then.